And I am back. Let me quote something for you. Here we go. Once the Nazis took power in Germany, they banned books, outlawed drag shows and homosexuality, changed school curricula to remove mention of their atrocities in World War I, and rewrote election laws so they'd never again lose an election. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that is precisely what is happening in this country. You know it as well as I do. Does this mean there will be a Hitler? Well, we already have a Hitler Jesus, and that's the orange asshole Donald Trump. Of course, he is dumb as a sack of doorknobs, but his followers can create all kinds of chaos and death and destruction in this country, and that's exactly what they want. But here's an example for you. This past Friday, this crazy woman, Ivey, who's the governor of Alabama, have you seen her? She looks like somebody's demented great aunt who lives up in the attic someplace with the mice and the squirrels. I mean, I swear to God she does. She's a Christian fascist personified. There she is. Well, she announced last Friday that she fired her director of early childhood education because this person was using a teacher training book written by a nationally recognized education group that the crazy old bitch Ivey, the Republican governor, denounced as teaching woke concepts. Because in the book, there's language about inclusion and structural racism. Now, let me make this very clear. This book is a guide for early childhood educators. It is not part of a curriculum in the Alabama public school system being used to teach children. It's not part of the curriculum. It's something for educators to read. But this crazy goddamn Ivey Nazi governor of Alabama decided she was going to fire this woman named Barbara Cooper. Barbara Cooper was fired as head of the Alabama Department of Early Childhood Education after the crazy bitch Ivey got her bloomers in a wad over the distribution of this book to state-run pre-kindergartens, not to go to the kids, but to go to the educators. A spokesman for the crazy bitch identified the book as the National Association for the Education of Young Children Developmentally Appropriate Practice Book, 4th edition. Now, this spokesman for the crazy Nazi bitch Ivey, this spokeswoman says she understands that all the books have been removed from state classrooms. Ivey, in a statement, the crazy great aunt who lives in the attic with the squirrels and the rats, Miss Ivey said, quote, "The education of Alabama's children is my top priority as governor, and there is absolutely no room to distract or take away from this mission. Let me be crystal clear. Woke concepts that have zero to do with a proper education and that are divisive at the core have no place in Alabama classrooms at any age level, let alone with our youngest learners." Now, what this ignorant bitch leaves out, of course, is nobody was trying to teach this. This was a guide for early childhood educators. But Ivey, being the ignorant bitch that she is, and totally illiterate because she's a Christian fascist, probably had somebody on her staff or maybe some jack-off out in some rural Alabama district whisper in her ear and say, "Oh, hey, listen, Kay, you know that shit is teaching these children not to trust Jesus H. Christ. You better get rid of that." Now, Miss Ivey's statement and the firing of Barbara Cooper, it comes as these Christian fascist politicians in that state, in a lot of states really, have made a rallying cry out of screaming and wetting themselves about so-called woke teachings, with schools having become kind of a flashpoint over diversity training, teaching kids to respect others. No. That's not what Christian fascists want. Oh, no. Even though their toy Messiah, this made-up person, I'm not saying, Jesus of Nazareth, I'm not saying he was made up, but dear God, he was a Jew who wandered around trying to teach people to fucking wake up and stop being just jerks. That's not the Jesus they believe in. They have invented one. He's kind of a puppet Jesus. He looks like he's from Norway. He's got long, beautiful, brownish, blonde hair with a beatific smile and carries little lambs around, right? Oh, my God. And, if I remember my early childhood teachings in the Christian religion, it was a philosophy or a theology of absolute acceptance of everybody. Now, you couldn't get into heaven unless you were a Christian. But, there was no, of course, when I was a kid, homosexuals didn't exist. Transsexuals didn't exist. Nobody existed except Christians. That's kind of what I was taught. And the poor people who were standing outside the Christian corral, who could be welcomed in. All they had to do is accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and personal Savior and be washed in the blood of the Lamb and all this other shit. But it was all, Christianity was inclusive. They sought converts. A lot of religions don't seek converts. But the Christianity went after converts. Hey, come on in. What are you? You're what? You're a man and you like men? Oh, well, Jesus liked men. He had 12 of them follow him around the Middle East wearing dresses. Go figure. A spokeswoman for the crazy bitch, Governor Ivey, first asked the woman she fired, Barbara Cooper, who was the head of the Alabama Department of Early Childhood Education. But Ms. Cooper was asked to, quote, send a memo to disavow this book and to immediately discontinue its use, end quote. Oh, my God. Almost as if it were the Communist Manifesto. Get rid of it, quick. Now, Governor Jackoff's office didn't say how Ms. Cooper responded, but a spokeswoman for Governor Jerkwad responded that the governor made the decision to replace Ms. Cooper and accepted her resignation. See, there it is again. Oh, she resigned. And according to Associated Press, Ms. Cooper could not be reached immediately for comment. I would imagine that to be the case. So, Governor Crazy Bitch Ivey's office sent a press release, and it cited two examples from the book. One example discussed white privilege and made the statement that the United States is built on systemic and structural racism. Now, again, this is to go to educators, not to the kids. But it's the goddamn truth. It is built. This country was built on enslaved labor and racism. And it's in our system. It's in our heads. But not in Alabama, not in Florida, not in Texas, not in 20 or 30 states now. No, I ain't going to teach the truth. No, hell no. And another section that Governor Crazy Bitch Ivey's office didn't like claimed that it taught LGBTQ inclusion to 4-year-olds. Those sections, according to a copy of this 800-page book obtained by the Associated Press, discussed how to fight bias and to make sure that all kids felt welcomed. Oh, no, not in our Christian religion. Fuck that. No. Ain't gonna allow no queers in heaven. Nuh-uh. Ain't gonna allow nobody to tell kindergartners to include all the children in the circle when you're all playing. Everybody gets in: white, black, this, that, up, down, gay. What's gay, mommy? Well, never mind. The book also says this, quote, now remember, this is for educators. Quote, early childhood programs also serve and welcome families that represent many compositions. Children from all families, for example, single-parent families, grandparent-led families, foster families, lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer families. All families need to hear and see messages that promote equality, dignity, and worth. End quote. Well, Kay Ivey just about shit her depends with that one. What? Oh, no! Dignity, equality for little queer children? Get out of here. Fire. Where is that woman? Fire her. Good Christians, huh? The section on structural racism states this, quote, systemic and structural racism has permeated every institution and system through policies and practices that position people of color in oppressive, repressive, and menial positions. The early education system is not immune to these forces. Preschool is one place where children begin to see how they are represented in society, and the classroom should be a place of affirmation and healing. End quote. Oh my God. It says that? Systemic and structural racism has permeated every institution and system? Why, what kind of a lying Negro wrote that? Would be Miss Kay Ivey's first question, I'm sure. Jesus. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.